The first book of Emzara. The dove has returned. Emzara turned to her husband at the sound of the bell, the two sitting quietly, awaiting its ringing. Time to receive God's message, Noah stated without breaking his meditative gaze. The couple rose to their feet, Emzara smoothing out the bedspread, following her husband back towards the airlock. Dove returned quickly, Emzara stated to her husband, hoping to slow his steps some, to talk for a brief moment while still in the semi-privacy of their doorway. Husband, this time allowing her tone to attempt to convey her previous sentiment. We had days to talk, no need to be late now. Stern, never breaking stride, no need to even look back, his wife would follow. I mean, she began in protest, clutching his arm, but they were too far down the corridor now. The crowd was increasing in density, private thoughts that could easily be overheard. Her opportunity had passed. Any word from Owl? Zeke hustled in, needing to seize control before his brother arrived. He hasn't knocked yet, just signaled that the dove had knocked. Paul conveyed to his brother-in-law without leaving his post, holding for Owl's knock. Very good, brother. Zeke let out nervously, worried about his boy, God's message, and just then seeing his brother enter the chamber. His brother. Where do we stand, brother? Noah had a way of calling his actual kin brother, unlike how he referred to all the other men in the colony. There was definitely affection in that brother, but also crushed a small portion of Zeke's soul with each utterance. Dove has knocked, but still waiting on Owl, brother. The crowd parting, allowing Noah to approach his younger sibling at the interior airlock. I wonder if it's a good sign, his swift return and all. Noah floated the idea, his wife's idea. Barely a day if you remove the time it takes to get to the freeway and back, Emzara added, backing up her husband from just behind him, popping into their conversation as she has done since they were children. Although this time beaming with pride, not needing to even focus on it being her idea, just happy to be heard. I'm sure Owl is taking that into consideration, into why he hasn't knocked his reply just yet. Paul's statement meant to defend his boy, but all Emzara heard was additional confirmation. A second for her motion, validation, her concerns were not unfounded. Which was more likely, in just a day, the dove found proof that the waters had receded, or that evil reigned and was using him to root out the last of God's children. Can we? Everyone would have to wait to hear whatever Emzara was about to object to this time, for Owl interrupted with his reply. Owl has replied, Paul shouted with a fist raised, ceasing any chatter instantly, waiting to hear Owl's final assessment. All clear. It's safe, Zeke called out, unable to contain his joy. I, Zeke, son of Burke, declare open. Blurting it out, no hesitation or need for any, not wanting any delays, any reason to miss the window to open the airlock, to have his dove returned. What say you, brother Noah? Paul finally needing to speak up, the pause greater than he expected, time being of the essence and all. Husband, her eyes pleading with him, let's at least talk this out. I, Noah, son of Burke, declare open, cold, emotionless, staring straight through the airlock, hoping God would allow him to see for himself, certain he was making the wrong decision. Omega complete, Paul announced, and the inner airlock hissed into life, letting Dove once again return triumvirate. Tell us, what did you see? Emzara blurted out impatiently, giving voice to what everyone was thinking. Yes, boy, deliver God's message, Noah commanded, stationary since giving the command of open, gaze still locked, glaring through the closing airlock, through to the outer airlock chamber, making sure to see every millimeter within that space. If it didn't follow him, it could just as likely be inside Dove. Trojan Dove. Burke was right, his prophecy dead on. Although Dove never doubted it, more impressed by just how correct it was. Satan did spawn as they locked the doors. And now, Zeke asked, confident his boy, his dove, was going to give some tangible proof of the morning star's vanquishing by the Lord. And now we need to finish what God started. You're saying that Satan still roams the earth, Emzara once again voicing the masses' all too valid concerns. Yes, Dove spoke with confidence, sure he had God's message correct, sure he knew what the next step was. Carson's tale rang all too clear. A plan a century in the making and executed to perfection, always at the right place at the right time, just following the next click of the cogwheel. An analog existence driven by cause and effect. God tipped a domino setting of a chain of falling dominoes to finally start the coffee maker. Rube Goldberg divinity. Then why did you return my son? The words burned Zeke's throat to speak. As a father, he wanted nothing more than his son returned. But as a son of Burke, he knew he shouldn't have returned if Satan was still present. If not for the ark, none of God's children would have survived the storm. But the storm has ended, and now we need to clean up the mess. Rebuild. How can we rebuild if Satan is still here? How could we stop Satan if God's might couldn't? Emzara asked, not to twist power in her favor or trap the boy in some answer to make her point. No, this was out of defeat, devastation. God didn't send the storm, Satan did. All, including Emzara, hanging on his every word now. What could he mean Satan sent the storm? God was sheltering his chosen ones, told Burke about this specific location, knowing the copper in the soil, mixed with the tall trees, would create a Faraday cage, shielding us from Satan's gaze. Dove and all those listening to him turned quickly to Proctor, looking for that signature nod, confirming he agreed that it was possible. And with that nod, Dove continued, "The Lord told Burke about the airlock, shielding us from the death sentence Satan unleashed into the air." Dove needed no more encouragement from Proctor or his father or even his uncle in this moment. It all clicked, like a broken window running in reverse, all the chaotic shards coming together into a single crystal clear pane. God needed us in here. We are his chosen people. He buried a strength, a light in our blood that we need to return to humanity, bringing forth the kingdom of heaven. Zeke could see Emzara lunge forward, ready to make some grand rebuttal, only to be drowned out, but the cheering of the faithful, ready to do God's bidding, to bring forth the kingdom of heaven. Why us? Why not just seal the ark back up, try again in another 100 years? Noah's question bringing an end to any lingering merriment. It's not like Burke's prophecies were 100% accurate. Emzara, emboldened by her husband's objection, looking to her mate, hoping to see love and support, but only finding an anger and disappointment she knew all too well. An anger born from her overplaying her hand, saying more than she should, bringing a pall onto her damn name, a name no one else had. Not just in the colony, but anywhere, ever, not since the church did everything they could to scrub her name from history. Go grab your Bible and look, we'll wait. It's not there, unless you have apocryphal texts such as Jubilee or Jazer, no one would utter the name Emzara. It was a brand given to her at birth. With every utterance of it, she is reminded of her fate, her only purpose for existence, her womb to be touched by God. Only it wasn't that honor bestowed on someone else. Mind your tongue, woman. Noah's vitriol spume with each word. Emzara wanted to run and hide, but the crowd was too thick, packed into the tiny chamber. No one would let her leave even if she tried, not on a comment like that without some follow-up. No, free your tongue, woman. Speak of these inaccuracies. Zeke urged, dying to hear what she could possibly perceive as an error. What about Lilith? Embarrassed, exposed, defeated, unable to say what she hoped her husband would empower her to say. Yeah, Constance, seconding her reply with an enthusiasm founded in hate-filled faith. Why would God bring that sickness onto the ark? Sickness coming out almost as a hiss, like it came directly from Satan's lips. Thankfully, her line ended with her. And her sickness, Faith seconded her big sister, not to mention him being wrong about Emzara and all. Almost dismissing it as common knowledge, only to trigger a hush from the shocked crowd. Whether you were appalled by the statement, or at least considered it, you were shocked nonetheless, that Faith actually said it aloud, to Dove's face. As I've explained to you before, Faith, Proctor slipping into his schoolmaster tone, correcting an all too often misinformed student, there is no written claims that it needed to be the eldest son of Burke, just a son of Burke, really emphasizing the no, eldest and a, attempting to finally drive home the point. Enough, Dove scolding the crowd. Although only a child, he was the only one that truly saw what was at stake. The only true adult in the room. Enough with the doubt, the squabbling, the arguing, the jockeying for power. We are God's chosen ones, and after 100 years we are finally given the chance to prove it.
Welcome back, and thank you all again for joining us. Today's episode picks up as the dove is returning to the ark, having just heard Carson lay out the book of Genesis and how Adam and his kin came to be.
Not to mention the horror they performed while seizing power, sending the flood that God was shielding his chosen from, here, inside the ark. Once again we see a rift forming, our community divided, some siding with Noah, their faith strong, believing Burke had God's words correct, that Satan's presence was foretold and just a setback, but still part of God's plan, while others start to worry Burke might have been wrong in interpreting God's words and possibly needing more time before finally disembarking from the ark.
Even Dove's father, Zeke, was surprised his son returned. As a father, he was happy to have his son back, but knowing the prophecy, Dove shouldn't have returned. Please remember to like and subscribe. You will not want to miss next week as we take a deeper look at one of our founders in the Book of Mel.